What started as a fish in distress led to a science experiment that ignited a lasting passion.
So I assume you're all here to listen to my talk. Pretty reasonable. And you've listened to the previous speakers' talks and many other talks given by people on a stage with a microphone and a projector screen behind them. But before we begin, I want you to stop and ask yourself, how does my microphone really work? How is light able to travel from that tiny little projector way back there to the gigantic screen behind me? Now, I think at some point in our lives, we've all had similar questions. How am I able to start my car engine just by turning the key? How come I forget some things but remember other things more clearly? We tend to brush these questions off because we're too busy with work, school, homework, etc. But I'm here today to convince you that curiosity is much more than just asking the question. It's about actively pursuing it. When I was about 10 years old, I, like any kid, had a pet betta fish. I was a very irresponsible little kid, and when my family went on vacation for about a week, I came home to check on the fish and realized that it had gone belly up. What I also saw were these white worm-like specks floating at the top of the water. They weren't there when the fish was alive, and I decided to investigate. I grabbed a notebook, and every day, as the white specks grew, swelling up like maggots, I was there writing it all down. Simultaneously, I began to get really itchy. I would wake up in the morning with red blotches all over my body, and my mother assured me that it wasn't chickenpox. What's even stranger was that there was an unusually high amount of mosquitoes in my room. I understand Miami's built on swamplands, so there should be a lot of mosquitoes, but this was on a scale of 10 mosquitoes at a time. They must have been causing the red blotches. But where did they come from? I wandered over to the computer and scrolled to Wikipedia. And yes, kids, Wikipedia is actually quite accurate. I read about the lifespan of mosquitoes and realized that they lay their eggs in still water, the stagnant water in my tank. When the eggs hatch, the larvae float up to the surface, the white specks, and slowly the pieces began to fit together. I was growing the biggest mosquito colony in Miami. Had I just thrown the dead fish and water away, I would have lost out on all that I had learned. I never would have learned about the lifespan of mosquitoes, their mating rituals, or their habitats. This entire new world of discovery would have been closed off if I had brushed my curiosity aside. That experience as a 10-year-old carries with me to what I do today. For the past 2 years, I've been conducting bacterial quorum sensing research at the University of Miami. Quorum sensing is the scientific term for bacterial communication, and these bacteria talk to each other by emitting chemical signals. When they emit these signals in a high enough quantity, they then produce a sticky biofilm that causes pneumonia in cystic fibrosis patients and urinary tract infection. So my job, essentially, is to shut these bacteria up. 3 weeks into the project, I began to notice that there were these white bits forming in the growth media, and simultaneously, the bacteria were dying. I couldn't get accurate results with dead cells, and I was curious as to where these white bits came from. Maybe they were causing the bacteria to die, or maybe they were produced when the bacteria died. After reading research paper after paper about this, I was honestly befuddled. Temperature settings, growth media, aeration. There were so many different factors, so many new questions about what could be producing these white bits. I would spend hours in the lab testing all these different variables, all in the pursuit to find out more. It took over 2 months, but in the end, I discovered that these white bits were actually strands of lice DNA that were produced when the bacteria had been grown for too long. After pursuing that puzzle, there was suddenly an entire new world of possibilities ahead. I went on to discover that black tea, white tea, and coffee were all successful quorum sensing inhibitors, and I presented my findings at the International Biotechnology Conference in San Diego. There, I met so many other young aspiring scientists who had harnessed their curiosities just as I did. One girl was making Band-Aids out of hagfish slime, and another had developed a brighter fluorescent protein that could be used as a biomarker. I was honestly overwhelmed by all of this, but then I realized something. All of these young scientists had to start somewhere, and they began by asking a simple question. But then, they relentlessly pursued it. So now, I challenge you to never brush off those questions that pop up in your head. Whether it's reading a book about it, doing your own makeshift experiment, or simply looking up the answer online, I want you to pursue those questions you've been itching to answer. I won't tell you exactly how my microphone works or how that projector projects light. I want you to chase those questions yourselves. Delve into what you don't know and never be afraid to find out more. Thank you.